Buddha's teachings. Secrets to keep your soul peaceful in life. Listen every day to be tranquil and at ease. No one can give you peace other than yourself. Always remember to learn how to relax your mind. Stay away from negative conversations and negative people. Don't harbor hatred and anger. Learn to forget and to forgive. Do not envy others. Accept what cannot be changed. Practice being more patient and more forgiving towards people and circumstances. Don't view objects and situations from a narrow, one-sided personal perspective. Don't become so lost in the past that you forget the present and affect the future. Take at least 10 minutes in a day to reflect on the day that is past and to relax your mind amidst the hurried pace of life. The best way to relax and let go is to do walking meditation every day. When the mind is at peace, the body will quickly recover its energy, feeling relaxed and at ease. When thoughts and sadness arise, drive them out of your mind and remember there are circumstances beyond your power to change. The best way is to remain calm and consider everything carefully. Get used to feeling happy and make that one of your main daily practices. Smile often at yourself and at others and let everyone know that you are a happy person. Try to make those around you happy. When you see someone in trouble, offer to help them, even if what you do is very small. The joy of the person you help will definitely make you feel happier. Don't forget the people who have brightened your life. Take the initiative to spend more time with those people. Trying to criticize others less will help you avoid a lot of negative feelings. The more lightly you regard all things, the more serene your mind becomes and the more happiness fills it. Fame and material gain are just illusions that you cannot take with you when you leave this world. All sadness and anger will eventually pass away, leaving you alone with yourself. So why not take things lightly? Learn to let go so that all troubles quickly drift away. When facing difficulties in life, talking a lot or complaining a lot won't make things better. Instead, sometimes it's better to be silent, speak less, listen more, and adjust your mindset. Also, those who talk too much sometimes lose the beauty of silence. Meditation is a way to find serenity and calm within. Meditation is associated with a peaceful mind, so you don't necessarily have to sit cross-legged for it to be called meditation. A calm mind simply means not thinking about anything at all. If you can live joyfully every day so that your life force is naturally healthy, like the grass in the field or blooming fragrant like flowers, then all of nature will celebrate you. It's true because being happy can make a person become graceful and beautiful, whereas hatred, resentment, and suffering only make a person uglier. Appearance form is born from the mind. A smile is a bright mirror reflecting all the seeds planted in the mind. If you carry seeds of joy in your heart, you will surely reap a smile. If you harbor seeds of suffering, you will surely reap sorrow. If you harbor seeds of compassion, you will surely reap empathy. If your heart is filled with seeds of love, you will surely reap tolerance. If in your mind you harbor evil, you will inevitably produce downfall and depravity. We cannot change the weather, but we can change our mood. You don't need to be upset that it's always raining, because when it rains, you don't need to go hide from the sun. You also don't need to worry about the scorching heat, because in the bright sunlight you won't step into muddy puddles. Not always living in reminiscence of the past is called letting go. Not longing greedily for things still in the future is called dwelling in the present. Not clinging in thought to those who have departed is called being at peace. Not suffering because of efforts that failed to bear fruit is called acceptance of conditions, depending on the circumstances. Not obsessing over what you don't or can't have is called following the natural order. Not getting lost in the crowd and losing yourself is called prudence. Not forgetting that your own life exists in each breath is called knowing how to live. Not speaking words that are sharp like weapons is called loving speech. Before deciding on anything, if you see that it will lead to suffering for yourself or others, knowing how to stop right there is called compassion. Open your heart fully to life, let compassion bloom like a beautiful lotus. Open your heart to both strangers and friends. Let the gentle rain of kindness flow into the lake. Dawn comes and then dusk again. Live in harmony. Do not let anyone be sad. Give until the twilight of life, having smiled since early on, so there's no regret in this life. Keep a heart of joy and compassion. The way home is winding. We go along, and we won't be sad in the late afternoon after living fully in the morning light. Every day we should learn to forget what makes us unhappy and learn to leave behind temptations that belittle us. As long as there is still tomorrow, everything remains possible. A human life is not long. Let's be grateful that we are alive, able to sense the fragrant flowers and sweet fruits of this life. Many conflicts teach us the value of tolerance. Many unpleasant experiences teach us the value of forbearance. Encountering all sorts of people teaches us the value of friendship. Multiple failures teach us the value of experience. Many successes teach us the value of courage. Facing many hardships teaches us the value of humility. Facing much deceit teaches us the value of sincerity. Experiencing wealth and fame teaches us the value of taking things lightly. Dealing with many social interactions teaches us the value of tranquility. Being bound in many ways helps us understand the preciousness of freedom. Much suffering helps us realize the worth of joy and liberation. The sorrows we need to see clearly to overcome. 1. Not seeing yourself clearly. Not seeing yourself caught in the vicious cycle. Not seeing your own wounds after each struggle. Not seeing the quiet place behind all the meaningless noise is a great suffering in life. People assume they know themselves best, but often the opposite is true. Seeing into the deepest part of our soul is the hardest thing of all. 2. Not overcoming failure. Failure is normal. Who in life has never failed? But if one fails and then collapses, unable to stand back up, the rest of that life may just be complaints and blaming. Those who achieve the most are usually those who stumble the most. The important thing is knowing how to get back up after a fall. Don't lie there forever lamenting your fate. Who are you waiting for to stretch out a helping hand? Your life is decided by you. Whichever path you take is your own choice. If you can't stand up again after stumbling, don't hope to fully experience the promising road ahead. 3. Not knowing how to let go. Not being able to let go of those who have left or the things that have passed. Not being able to set aside guilt or shame from the past is like carrying a huge rock while traveling a long distance, so tiring and painful. Letting go here doesn't just mean letting go of material goods or money, but also letting go of a sorrowful, troubled mind. If you cannot let go of these, such doubts of the heart will gradually poison your soul, leaving you with no days of peace. Letting go is also how people return to their pure, kind-hearted nature. As mentioned, not being able to let go is like a traveler who must carry a heavy boulder on a journey of thousands of miles. How can you complete your life's journey if you keep clutching burdens and attachments? Regret for the past. If we live constantly in regret, yearning for our own past glory, regretting the unfinished things we once did, yearning for empty vanity, applause of triumph, then our entire life will be restless. It is easy for people to be haunted by the past, especially when they look back on happier days. We cling to memories, though they're like morning mist. We cling to things left undone, though there's no opportunity left. We cling to our reputation and applause, though all are ephemeral illusions. Living in regret ensures a lifetime of unrest. Yesterday was only a rain shower, and eventually the rain stops. Clinging to the past means living each day in torment. Often you must accept there are things you cannot restore, things you cannot change. Words that once spoken cannot be taken back. Clinging to the past is like covering your present and future with a gloomy fog. Learn to be tolerant and to understand others. The ocean can accept hundreds of thousands of rivers and thus becomes vast. A person who can tolerate others' mistakes will also be able to forgive themselves. Some people remain quiet in any situation. When they are misunderstood, they do not explain. When they're talked about, they don't dispute. When slandered, they don't argue. They stay silent, not out of fear or weakness, but because they want time to prove everything. Sometimes, silence helps people remain more composed than revealing all. Silence is also a sign of experience and maturity. Once you're hurt, endure a bit. Once you're exhausted, quietly rest. People grow and mature over time when they face the harsh realities of the world and society. A mature person is enthusiastic, resilient, cherishing every moment. They appreciate the value of life itself, knowing that to be born into this world is so precious, and they don't want to waste this life in vain. Do good deeds and love what is good, because goodness always brings happiness to you and to others. Commonly, when people are close to attaining happiness, they are excited, but once they have it, they worry and become uneasy. Life is never absolute. There is always a trade-off. The more you have, the greater your accompanying responsibilities. Life is like the sun, sometimes shining brightly, sometimes dark. Life isn't too long or too short. Treasure what should be kept, and let go of what needs to be released. Certain people you cannot forget because you still owe them in some way, while others you must forget because they're not worth remembering. Don't rely too much on your eyes, because at times you only see the things you want to see and ignore the ones you dislike. No matter how tough today is, always believe that only yesterday cannot return, while tomorrow will surely come. Self-reflection is the true destruction of self-conceit, so that we can dive into the joys of life. Having taken on this physical form, why drown in bitterness? Worrying excessively is pointless. One main reason our minds become heavy and our pain comes is because we suspect others. But we forget an extremely important principle in life. Thinking ill of others makes our mind ill first. Thinking well of others makes our mind well first. We can only be happy and free, brimming with energy to live, if we realize that those around us are not truly bad people. If anything, it's our own mind that turns bad when we're thinking negatively about others. We know well that someone might appear bad because they have not had enough conditions to express their goodness yet. Practice focusing on the goodness in others so that your heart can rise upwards. Try practicing a day or a month or even a year not seeing anyone as bad, and see if your mind becomes lighter and more carefree. Let's aspire to be a small spark in winter or a drop of water in drought, so that our hearts can be present in everyone's hearts. Even further, if you cannot see the good in others, then practice viewing them as they are, with a neutral perspective. The simpler your view, the brighter and more peaceful your mind becomes. This sounds simple, but achieving such a view is anything but simple. Live fully in this human life. Joy and sorrow, success and failure all pass. Spring bustles with leaves, waiting for them to fall in autumn. Live to love and live serenely. All suffering and happiness arise from the mind and dissolve there. Therefore, how your mind is determines your own experience of life. Destiny emerges from within the mind. When you choose one path, you are deciding your fate. Don't worry too much about the past. Live fully in the present and set your sights on the future. Doing so will ensure that tomorrow your life is bright. There are times when you face destruction by impermanence, as though you're about to collapse. But if you can comprehend the philosophy of dependent origination, you will realize that for a long time you've received so many gifts from the universe. Now the universe merely takes a little back to share with someone else. It's natural. There's no bitterness in it. When there is birth, there is death. When there is union, there is separation. Yet people never want to lose. Humans suffer because they want everything to remain permanent, whereas life is inherently impermanent. Furthermore, some people disregard the suffering of others to benefit themselves, to bring pleasure to themselves. Thus, in another person's sweet fruit or joy lies someone else's loss and sorrow. But so be it, that's the nature of this world. Understand how to let go, and you can be at peace. Human suffering often stems from greed, anger, and ignorance. Therefore, if you want to live happily, let go of some of your desires. Accepting imperfection is an inevitable part of being human. We come to this earth naked and leave the same way. We eat 3 meals a day and need only 1 bedroom to sleep in. Why cling to enormous desires when they only make us feel endlessly dissatisfied? Excessive desire is the root of all suffering in this world. To reduce our troubles, we first need to learn how to let go. But know that letting go here means letting go of our cravings, not our duties and responsibilities. Sometimes being overly demanding and scrutinizing can cause us to worry over trivial matters. Living in a more carefree manner can lead to happiness. Why? Because those who are too strict, whether for big or small matters, treat them all as major, serious issues. Overthinking leads to stress. Life gets consumed by trivialities, leaving little space for joy and serenity. Meanwhile, a more carefree way of life pays less attention to everything around, letting life be simpler and less burdened, thereby savoring the genuine taste of peace. As a person, be simple, and in doing tasks, be practical so that your days pass gently and calmly. Everyone in life will encounter situations they dislike. At such times, we must practice forbearance. Throughout history, anyone who has accomplished great things has had great fortitude. And to have great fortitude, one must have great patience. Patience does not mean evading or escaping. It is about accumulating strength. One who knows patience rarely makes grave mistakes due to a rash reaction. Kindness is the best virtue in a human being. Perhaps a kind heart will not get you everything you desire, but it will give you inner peace and a joyful mind. Joy is the secret to longevity and youthfulness. People don't stop playing because they grow old. They grow old because they stop playing. A smile is the most wonderful cosmetic to create beauty in a person, and the quickest, simplest way to connect with everyone. Why, after middle age, do some people have kind, benevolent faces while others have stern, resentful faces? Because form is born from the mind, and form changes according to the mind. When the heart is beautiful, the outer appearance becomes beautiful too. A person whose heart is full of love will display love in every gesture. A person who is always calculating and plotting will remain troubled in any situation. If you walk with someone who understands tolerance, their heart must also be broad. Such people don't fuss over trivial matters or delight in small gains. People who are always calculating live very wearisome lives. The ancients said, "Take one step back. The sea and sky open wide." Sometimes stepping back is actually moving forward. Step back and give way, you'll gain more friends. If going forward forces you to lose yourself, then you should stop. If you need to step back to understand yourself, it's all right to go back a few steps or many steps. There's no harm in that. All the life goals placed before you are relative. The phrase future success defined by society has imprisoned many people's present lives. What is the point of chasing illusions to the extent that you forget to live fully in the moment? See white and know it's white. See black and know it's black. Don't search for white in black or black in white. Recognize clearly black and white, and life will remain peaceful. Often people's misery arises from the fear of losing something or someone that is so familiar to them. When a real loss occurs, they stumble, losing their motivation, sinking into suffering, unable to accept reality. In truth, you cannot lose what you never truly possessed. What is genuinely yours will always remain yours. What doesn't belong to you, no matter how hard you try to cling to it, will eventually leave. Once you realize that the things you insisted on having are not so necessary, and reduce your dependence on them, you will gradually become more free and happier. Love sincerely, but don't let your own serenity and happiness depend too much on anyone else. You get angry because your heart is not yet forgiving enough, because your mind is not broad enough. You worry because your intellect is not yet open enough. You suffer because your will is not yet strong enough. You keep hurting because your thoughts are not yet optimistic enough. You envy because you are not confident enough. Every kind of trouble arises from within ourselves. Each time they emerge is an opportunity to look back at our inner world, to see our own shortcomings, and strive to transform them. Anyone who bears a human body has a certain portion of good fortune, like a moon, shining with a corresponding amount of blessings. If we fail to cultivate those blessings and continue to create negative karma, we are like the moon waning from the 15th day to the 30th, fading into darkness. That's truly sad. But if we know how to cherish our bright moon, increasing our blessings, we become like the moon from the 1st to the 15th day, growing ever brighter. That's truly wonderful, isn't it? Being human can be easy or difficult. Moving 1,000 hearts or silencing the tongues of the masses is definitely not easy. Yet being a good person isn't necessarily difficult. You only need to keep a kind heart, be gentle, and walk your own path. So when storms come, just remind yourself, once through the storm, the sun will naturally appear. Don't waste effort lamenting to others, they likely won't care. Some things, if you can let go, will bring you relief. Some people, if only thinking about them, makes you happy, keep them in your heart. Some pains, if understood thoroughly, make you stronger. Worrying too much about one thing often traps you. In fact, even the simplest things, when overthought, can become complicated. Just maintain a calm state of mind and an open heart, and whatever comes will also pass simply and lightly. Life moves swiftly. By letting go of fame and empty illusions, we might touch deeper truths. If you face complicated matters gently, removing needless entanglements, your heart will be at ease and free to move forward. Yielding the way to others can help you avoid trivial conflicts. Looking further ahead, you will find the rainbow after the rain. Arrange your baggage lightly to journey more comfortably on the long road. Actually, the most beautiful scenery is not determined by our eyes, but by our hearts. Deep emotions do not need to be declared. They can be perceived through our actions. Whenever you're displeased, remember how water flows, always soft, gentle, quietly nurturing and transforming all things without contention or argument. If everyone could cultivate themselves to reach that level, why would the world not be at peace and hearts not be tranquil? If you look at everyone and only see their strengths and find meaning in every matter, you'll see how wonderful life truly is, how kind the world can be. If you face life with a troubled heart, everything becomes an obstacle, and the world turns vile and hateful. So many people hope to become more beautiful. The best way is to maintain a peaceful mind and a joyful spirit. This sort of beauty makes others feel comfortable, not resentful. Truly, whatever we receive in this life is the result of things done previously, and what we do now will shape results in the future. Life flows on in this manner. If you understand this, you can avoid much negative thinking and won't blame the heavens or others when facing adversity. Blessings come from diligence and selfless living. Let compassion arise by helping those in need. Express gratitude to repay kindness and keep a respectful heart towards every person in every situation. Having faith in karma, cause and effect, prevents us from doing regretful things. Always respect others and cultivate tolerance. The ocean is vast because it absorbs hundreds of rivers. In this life, we cannot avoid two things: moving forward and stopping. Are you using a positive mindset to do these things? A positive outlook is your best companion, helping you stay happy and healthy. Whether with close people or strangers, if there is connection, give of yourself to maintain good relationships. Because if you never light incense daily, then praying hurriedly to Buddha in times of crisis is useless. Thus, you must accumulate human kindness like depositing into a bank account. The more you deposit, the longer it accrues, the bigger the reward. Don't be impulsive or jump to conclusions, especially when you're angry. You must place yourself in different perspectives to see things clearly. Gradually turn big problems into small ones, and small ones into nothing. For complicated matters, handle them gently. Never complicate what is simple. Remember to be content with what you have. Most worries arise from meaningless comparisons. If you see that some have less than you, there are also those you can't compare to. When you complain about not having nice shoes, remember there are those who don't even have feet. If your opponent makes you angry, it means you haven't surpassed them. Turning back to see who is cursing you is unnecessary. Like being bitten by a rabid dog, would you bite the dog back to get revenge? So there's no need to pay attention to nasty words. Don't treat work as a burden. Instead of complaining, face it happily and proactively. Regard work as life or art, and you will find enjoyment in what it brings you. Having one more day to live is a blessing, so cherish it. A human life only lasts a few decades. Don't do things that leave you filled with regret. The sun rises in the East Sea and sets behind the Western Mountains. Whether you're sad or happy, the day passes anyway. If you pay no mind to idle gossip, life is calm and your spirit is light. We come to this world ultimately only to be born and to die. One event is done, only one remains, so there's no need to rush. When conditions are right, things arrive. Once done, they disperse. Waiting or hoping gains nothing. People with wisdom do not live according to the words of the world's mouths, nor do they fear others' gaze. As long as you understand your own heart, observe your own merits and failings, and gradually correct them, that is a form of cultivation. The greatest lostness in life is having nowhere for the mind to rely on, not knowing where to direct oneself. Whether you're aware of it or not, whether you admit it or not, if your heart holds only goodness, there will be nothing that can disturb you. If your heart is truly kind, you'll never resent anyone. If your way of life is genuinely simple, then no matter how chaotic the world might be, it cannot affect you. Being a good person means enjoying health in both body and mind, and a peaceful sleep. Doing good is witnessed by heaven, earth, and the spirits. If there is no doubt, the world is not cold. If there is no discrimination, the world is not distant. If there is no resentment, the sky is always warm. If there is no conflict, the seas remain calm. True tranquility isn't sitting immobile for hours, but using a calm mind to observe all things, to hear even the sound of flowers and grasses growing. Enduring peace arises from within. You cannot find it by seeking outward. People strive their whole lives and endure hardships, but when their time comes to go, they can't bring even a blade of grass. No matter how diligently they accumulate, in the end they can't bring along even a speck of acclaim or adoration they created. Whether rich or poor, once the journey's done, we must say farewell. A lifetime is so short. Many proclaim they'll live 100 years, but before you know it, some are already gone. Some vow eternal friendship, but wake up to find themselves separated by life and death. So while you still can, don't create needless regrets. Don't overthink, don't be overly sensitive, don't demand too much. As a person, it's okay to have little money, but don't let your determination be poor. Don't let the lack of money narrow your vision. Even if you can't achieve great glory, you can still be an upright, honorable person. As a person, it's okay if your appearance isn't striking, but don't let your heart become ugly. Kindness and goodness do not depend on appearances, but come from deep within. As a person, it's okay to be physically small, but don't have a narrow, petty heart. No one likes a mean-spirited person. Even with frail shoulders and a thin back, you can still comfort countless souls if you have a compassionate heart. As a person, it's okay to be weak in body, but don't let your spirit be weak. Those who are weak-spirited often become pessimistic and self-doubting, so you must learn courage, independence, and confidence. As a person, it's acceptable to be slow with your hands or eyes, but don't let your mind become dull. Always remind yourself to keep your mind bright and clear-sighted. As a person, being heartless to an extent might be fine, but don't be so harsh and domineering that your dark ambition turns you into a demon. Otherwise, if you don't go to hell, who will? As a person, it's fine to be smart, but don't think you're a prodigy while everyone else is a fool. If so, you'd be the only arrogant person in the world. As a person, it's okay to be lazy sometimes, but don't be lazy all the time. The tasks that need to be done, do them well. Have a spirit of contribution if you don't want to be a parasite clinging to society. As a person, it's good to be thrifty, but don't be too calculating about money. Otherwise, you'll get used to judging others by money and sooner or later become its slave. As a person, it's good to be tolerant, but don't let others belittle you or exploit your tolerance to continue their errors. No matter what, keep your own principles and self-respect. As a person, it's okay to endure some hardship, but don't let it drag on without finding a way to free yourself. Learn how to rise up. Certain things, once they happen, can only be accepted. Some people, once they leave, can only be let go. Some roads, once chosen, must be walked to the end. Much of what is wonderful arises out of waiting, not struggling. So be patient if you don't want to miss out on happiness. Enjoy everything big or small that arises in life. Tomorrow, looking back, you may realize they were all very important. Many things only reveal their value once they become memories. If two people truly have a bond, time or distance won't matter. If there's no bond, even if they meet, they'll still go separate ways. Perhaps one must travel through many experiences, both glamorous and challenging, to truly grow. When you see someone clearly and choose not to speak of their flaws, you'll understand what forgiveness means. When you dislike someone but don't show it, you'll feel the height of respect. A person does not mature just by living a long time or wandering many places, but by knowing when to let go to avoid a life of endless striving. Everyone's heart has suffered different pains, not because it no longer hurts that we grow numb, but because we realize that speaking out doesn't solve anything, it only exposes us to more vulnerability. Maturity is being able to keep smiling while transforming suffering into happiness. No matter how life is, face it bravely. Don't think of running away, nor should you complain and blame. There are many things in life that don't have to go your way to be good. The sun will still rise even if you're unhappy. The moon will still set even if you blame it. Covering your eyes doesn't make the world go dark. Making someone else blind doesn't mean the light belongs to you. In this world, there are only axes or knives that aren't sharp enough to chop things down. There is nothing that cannot be cut. Regarding work, it's not that it's impossible to complete. It's that you haven't thought of the proper method. If you want something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Life is like a cup of water. Whether hot or cold, if the temperature suits you, you can drink. Whether sweet or bitter, if it suits your taste, it's delicious. A sound, whether gentle or vibrant, if it pleases your hearing, it's good. The seasons revolve, and whether it's spring, summer, autumn, or winter, if it fits your mood, it's wonderful. Life is not a battlefield. You don't need to compete with others to determine winners or losers. If there is more empathy, there will be fewer misunderstandings. With tasks, if you can yield more, there will be less conflict. Some things you must endure, some people you must concede to. You can't win them all. You don't necessarily need everyone's approval or understanding because each person has their own viewpoint and personality. We often magnify ourselves too much, leading to worries over gains and losses and feeling misunderstood. In fact, being human means knowing how to lighten the ego, to reduce self-interest, and to put yourself in others' shoes, which makes life more pleasant. Thus, the more open-hearted we are, the bigger our joy becomes, the more tolerant we are, the more we receive. Don't talk behind others' backs, and don't be overly concerned about rumors about you, because someone who is useless has nothing worth saying, whereas the more outstanding you are, the more attention and discussion you'll attract. In this life, to acknowledge your mistakes is a form of honesty. To overlook them is a form of grace. If you offer honesty and don't receive grace, it means the other person is somewhat petty and rude. When you can endure inconveniences in life, caring only for your duties rather than personal gain, you'll be at a high spiritual level. When you can look forward with hope, look down with empathy, and up with gratitude, you're standing at a high point of the soul. In life, we need not only to look carefully and understand, but also to see things thoroughly. With broader vision, you see the bigger picture. Seeing through illusions, you realize people gather and disperse for fame and profit. Understanding doesn't mean you no longer have aspirations. It means you have peace and calm in your heart. The most frightening aging isn't physical, but the loss of a progressive spirit. You cannot change your outer appearance much, but you can transform your inner character. Change your character and your life path will change accordingly. In everyday interactions, remember, kindness, enthusiasm, and sincerity will yield good results. There are smiles warmer than mere politeness, bringing genuine comfort to others. In daily relationships, everything follows a certain destiny. Among people, if you see someone as a bodhisattva, they will be saintly. If you see them as a devil, they will become frightening. It's like looking in a mirror. If you smile, you'll see a cheerful face. If you frown, you'll find a sorrowful one. It's the same among friends. If you treat them with respect and esteem, they'll respond with gentleness and courtesy. If you hold them in contempt or shout at them, they'll respond with frustration or scorn. Hence, in life, be sincere with friends, be faithful with family, be tolerant with loved ones, and be forgiving with enemies. If you always maintain a kind attitude toward everyone, they will sense it and respond likewise. If your heart is full of goodness, the quality of your life will improve. Form arises from mind. Circumstances adapt to mind. If the goodness in your heart is substantial, it will show on your face and radiate outward, leading to good things in your life. Humans are simple, yet also terrifying. A truly kind heart can accommodate everything. A wicked heart can harm many. Those who are too cunning drive others away. Those who are too harsh cause resentment. If you contend to the end in every situation and cling to every little advantage, in the end you lose people's affection and you degrade yourself as well. Therefore, when it comes to wealth and interests, be a bit foolish so you don't lose harmony. Concerning obligations and relationships, being a bit foolish means not betraying your conscience. Competing fiercely for fame and gain can be exhausting. Hearing rumors, be somewhat foolish so you don't tire your mind. Nobody is perfect, and everyone has their own style. Some admire you, some envy you, others feel unsatisfied. But deep down, each one hopes to avoid endless strife. A truly wise person won't live too cleverly, scheming all day. They'll be a bit foolish to preserve their goodness, staying away from incessant competition. Life is short. Knowing contentment means being carefree. Life is busy. Being a bit foolish brings ease. Who would guess in a cup of tea? There's a fragrant lotus waving free? Who would guess in the distant breeze? The ocean's breath across the seas? You hold a piece of paper plane, gazing deeply at a leaf's vein. Who would guess in a bird's swift flight? A heart's homesickness held so tight, bearing a human form in this samsara, is entangled in illusions and karma. Turn a palm upward under the sun's light, recalling past lifetimes fleeting from sight. So if someone drifts away, we are still not truly apart today. If someone suffers a wound so deep, my soul stirs, in sorrow I weep. If a smile lights up their face, my steps become eager with grace. Who would suspect the warmth of one heart could hold the entire world in part?